Is it going? It's going. We're live. All right, we'll step in front of the camera. Kind of. I hope I'm in it. I haven't got a clue. Weird setup tonight. So I've been working since last week trying to figure out what the hell to do here. I've had all kinds of mixed advice. Some guys are saying that these heads are going to crack. Other guys are saying it shouldn't be that big of a problem. Other guys are saying minor problem. The worst part is I've got this set of high performance heads kicking around from some horse trading off of a big motor kit that I've got, but the rest of it's not going to fit. The problem is I'm thinking these ports are too large. The velocity is not going to be good enough to create sufficient power in the RPM operating range of the motor in a big heavy touring bike. So I've literally just decided this right now. Tonight's show, we're going to pull the old motor apart, take the heads off, and do a side-by-side comparison. We might even get so crazy that if these things look like they're going to be okay, or if those heads look like they're in really good shape, we might do a head swap on two motors tonight, or at least one anyway, see how quickly it goes, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to kind of shuffle the camera around and pick up a 300-pound motor, haul it over here, and set it on my engine stand, aka my table saw. And we're going to tear a motor apart. Let's have fun. Let's go have some fun. And there we go. The motor, the stock motor, the old motor, that gave me the grief and the issues that I found problems with that I hadn't planned on. So I got to kind of get my ass in gear if I want to be ready for riding season. Gonna need some tools, and I'll pick those up. Sorry for being a little late coming on tonight, because I literally was on the phone until I literally clicked the go live button when I hung up. I was on the phone with a former racing guy that I've done work with, pick his brain. Find out if this is going to be safe to do or if I'm completely off my freaking rocker for trying to do this. So to run this, to try to put these heads on, because this performance kit doesn't have there's not great specs on what these heads are. So I don't really know what I'm getting into with them. And since the riding season is short up here, I don't necessarily want to blow this thing up and shorten my already short riding season. So I kind of like to make sure I do this right when I do it. So since I can't find out the information, and I know how tools work, and I know how to take these things apart and look at them. Oh, which by the way, yeah, I am live this week. So clearly I'm not taking that course that interferes with my time. I changed my mind on what I was doing there. Turns out it wasn't as necessary, wasn't as good. All that sort of stuff is what I was thinking. Made that decision. So we're going to continue live on our Thursday night, or our Wednesday night, which by the way, I've got a couple guys looking for parts for me. So we're going to do not only a live tonight, we're going live tomorrow as well, because I'm either going to do a complete head swap, have that other motor ready to go tonight, or make these decisions, whatever the case may be. And riding season is just around the corner. It's awful nice here. A few people are riding already. I'm not quite yet, even if it was ready to go, because I like to let the rain come, wash the salt off the road before I actually get the bike out, because these things aren't built like cars. Salt gets into places it's not supposed to be, causes problems and damages that are just no fun to play with. So I wouldn't be riding even if I was yet, but it's supposed to rain this weekend. So, and next week. So I'm down to the point of need to be done if I'm going to go ride and be ready to go for early season, which I'd like to be, which means I'm either doing a motor tonight or doing part tonight, part tomorrow night, and shoving the motor into the bike tomorrow. So either way, I got more work to do, and I'm going to be doing it tomorrow as well because I need to get this thing done. I've got some other stuff going on that's going to tie up in the weekend. I've got a very good friend who's coming, actually a couple of good friends who are coming out to visit. And so most of my free time is going to be tied up with that, not having it around to work on a bike. So because of that, we're not doing live from the office. We're doing live from the shop, playing with tools, having fun, taking things apart, learning some stuff. Oh, I guess in all reality, I could be using the electric for this. Since we are taking something apart, it's not going back together. Let's do that. Take that off. That. And yeah, since we're working on a motor, we got us an old fashioned having drinks tonight. So grab your drink, enjoy yourself. We're going to shoot the breeze, have some fun, tear stuff apart, shoot crap. By the way, our hands are full of oil, so I can't look at the computer. I'm not touching it when I'm full of oil like this. See what your comments are, all that. So I have no idea if anybody's even watching, if anybody even cares. Either way, like I said, I do this for fun, so hope you're joining me for some fun. So there we go. We have, I don't have enough cord to do that. So we have the rocker cover completely off, the lower rocker cover's off on these heads. What is the casting number? Can't read that. Let's take a peek. 171.92. 172.50. Yeah, no, they're a completely different casting number. So, oh yeah, 12 points. Forgot about that. So, yeah, that whole thing is stiff. So I need little 12-point sockets to do this. Got metric ones right here. These don't work. I have to go get the standards. Well, look at that. Look at that. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now when removing these, because these are under a lot of torque, we have to do these in a procedure. Oh, this is tightened. That was awful loose. That's the wrong direction. I'm removing, not tightening. Oh, that's tightened. We are in loosen mode. Yes, loosen mode. Counterclockwise. These are so much easier when you're mounted or when you have an engine stand. 1 1/4 of a turn. 2 1/4 of a turn. I need my big bear of a guy, Justice, here to do this for me. Hold the motor. Stay. Yeah, I don't have a motor mount for these guys. I do for Evolutions. I got 4 of them for those motors. Ah. 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 Well, that one had considerably more torque than the others. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy. Oh. Ah. 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 Holy crap. That sucker does not want to come off. So, as we can tell, the strength difference here, clearly this thing's experienced some heat, because these should all four be a uniform tightness. This is beyond comparable. They are considerably different. Hands are slipping, getting a little oily. Need a good rag. Wow. This is, I can see it. There's a massive difference in the size of the ports on this thing. Very, very different. Wow. That guy doesn't want to give at all. Stay. So we're gonna have to get a little rude with this guy. Get it tight. Wow, that is incredible. Oh, the difference on this one is amazing. That's a 13, 12 point. Oy, oy. Doesn't have one. Daddy. All right. When in doubt, get angry, get a bigger wrench. If this doesn't work, we have no choice. We're going air. Big impact gun. I can't even hold this right. This one is so long. There we go. That's a considerable difference. That's not even in the same ballpark. Wow, this is incredible. Be interesting to see what we've got for damage in here. And that's it. They are cracked loose. Yep. All right. And one of my guys last week asked about putting a bigger motor in his bike for him too. He's 88. The answer is yes, I can do that. I know where there's another motor. So if you want it, especially if you want to hot rod it, like I'm going to do this one a little bit, do some work, make it run a lot better. You know how to get a hold of me. Reach out. We can do that. I'll get them both done at the same time. All right. Just like that. These are free. And that one's free. And that one's free. All right. Okay. So, holy crap, what a difference. Check that out. So that's front head, right? That's a rear. Okay. We'll do an actual comparison. Everything appears good in there. Just set that back in place for now. Where it belongs. There's a dowel right there, right there. Okay. Wow. All right, maybe not. We don't need to do damage. Risk wreck and stuff. Doesn't want to come off. All right. So with that, here, as a comparison, here's a side-by-side difference of dripping oil all over the place. The hot rod head and the standard head. Much larger combustion chamber in this one. These are deported. This is more high flow. Definite valve size differences. I've measured these. So this set of heads has a 208 intake and 162 exhaust, which is considerably larger than these at, yeah, a 178 intake and a 159 exhaust. So there's a fair amount of difference there. Bigger valves is all right. That'll let you get more airflow at higher RPM, which in a high RPM, what the hell we had there? We'll look at that in a second. In a high RPM, high horsepower application, like the drag bike, my drag bike actually has larger valves than that in it. I won't disclose what's got in that one, but they're massive. But if we look at, this is our intake side. If we look at the two of these, I don't know if the camera will get right in there or not, how much cord I've got, what I can get for a view. Let's kind of do that. So we can see how much more of a shoulder there is in this part of the intake, which is going to increase velocity. Which You want unrestricted for maximum flow at high RPM. To create power at low RPM, which is where you actually drive a typical vehicle, non-hot rod, non-racing application, then you want high velocity so that the airflow is moving fast enough that it will actually flow higher air numbers in a larger velocity, smaller diameter port than it will on a large port. Yeah, these are even shaped valve guides. These are quite the set of heads, actually. And these will probably clean up for pretty good performance. If I was building a 124-inch motor, I would definitely use these. But for the stock 103 application, I don't think these are a very good choice. They most certainly are. The heads are going to massively outflow the engine, which is going to be problematic. Yeah, that's a very different casting number. It's not even the same family. Can tell that. All right. So what I was looking at, wow, we've had enough heat. We clearly got some kind of a problem. This is the rear head. And it would have been positioned this way on the engine. So as we can see, this piston, very clean on this side. That's not, I mean, it should have some carbon buildup on it, the same as this other side. This clean like this, the reason for that is, it's on the intake side. You can't really tell, actually. It almost looks like, I can feel a buildup on here. This has actually almost been making contact. So this engine was in a lot worse shape than I thought it was. I was probably quite lucky I took it apart when I did. There's some very clear signs of issues on this, the factory motor that came out of the bike. That very clean line on the piston of no carbon buildup, no nothing, is a very telltale. It should be uniform all the way around. So something was clearly going on in that one. And come around now, this is a rear cylinder. Rotate it, rotate. This crank doesn't run real soft or smooth. All right, let's get these pistons down to the bottom. Take a look at cylinder walls. What do we got going on here? We actually still have fairly decent cross hatching in here, which I don't know if the camera can pick that up or not. I don't think it's high enough definition, but cross hatching pattern in this front cylinder is actually really quite decent. So that's pretty good. It is glazed. It is very shiny. But it's got a good cross hatch in it. How's the rear cylinder? Rear cylinder is actually even better. It's not as shiny. So I might have had an intake leak or something on the front side. So that was rear head. Where's the front head? Actually, I was looking at the front cylinder. Didn't realize it. Oh yes, we can see it here. This is the intake side. So if we look right here, we can see this shiny line right here. That's actually piston contact. So this thing, when it was running really hot, this piston was actually making contact on that other cylinder. Because this was the rear I was looking at, not the front. So if I rotate that back around, yeah, it gets stiff up here. Very stiff. That's strange. That should be like that. Well, heads on, this thing should turn nice and clean. So get this up right to the top. We can see that piston is nice and uniform with its carbon pattern all the way around. It's got this very slight mark at the top right there, where this one almost was making contact, like the front cylinder, just not quite as bad. So we were definitely at the point of facing some issues. Let's get this guy right to the top. Short of putting a dial gauge on it. Oh yeah. Yeah, I can almost feel it flush with the deck of the head, which means the only space would be the head gasket, which should have been enough to prevent any contact. That's awful shiny. Was awful close. It's kind of interesting. It makes me wonder what kind of shape everything else is in down here in the bottom of this thing. So these heads are good. These are good castings. They're not cracked. They're not damaged. Nothing that I know is wrong with them. I don't have my porting, my flow bench anymore for porting heads and whatnot. So I'm going to send these off and have these ones done. And they'll go back on at some point in future. Don't know what, don't know when. Sometime down the road. We'll figure that out. Clean this guy up. Yeah. There's a lot of carbon on this one. I don't know. It does feel like, oh, I get it. There's the carbon buildup is on the head. So it was the carbon that was kissing the piston, not actual metal to metal contact. That's good. That means there wasn't any hard surface, hard material hitting hard material. Carbon is somewhat compressible. It's not great, but somewhat compressible. So that means that head's not going to be screwed or damaged, which is a good thing. It's going to be completely reusable. All right, that one's loose. There we go. All right. Let's get it up. Pull that guy off. Well, I probably should straighten out the camera for that. Let's do that a little bit. Like I said, where I got things positioned, I can't see the screen, so I have no idea what you guys can see. No idea if anyone's even watching this week, but let's put a light in there. See if I can kind of highlight and show the cross-hatching pattern in a cylinder. So that's actually a good thing. You need that. The cross-hatching in the cylinder walls, you run them at an angle back and forth like that. What that does is the rings that are on the piston here score up tight and actually create the seal, because the pistons don't actually physically touch. They're very, very close, but there's a slight gap between them. The rings take up the gap. The reason for the cross-hatching is those slight imperfections. What they do is they cause an oil film to stick to the cylinder, so that when the piston rides up and down, you don't get metal-to-metal contact. You get metal, thin layer of oil and metal, and it helps keep things clean, keeps things from wearing out. We can see a little tiny spot. It's actually not. I think that might be a factory spot. Once again, I haven't really played with these twin cams, so that is far too uniform to be a wear mark. So that is clearly, but we can see that there's been a slight amount of rubbing on there, but not a whole lot. So interesting. So I'm going to label these. Since this one came off the back, so that we know. And they can be done. We'll put a big old R on there. Actually, there's enough room. We'll put a rear, the whole thing. So now we know that one came off the back. There's that. I'm going to leave it here for now. Now we'll do the fun part. Don't want anything to get wrecked up, so we'll put a rag in between there. Or a yank. And there's our other cylinder. So this is our front one. You can see this one still has a cross hatching in it, but it's also a lot shinier. I don't know if the camera will actually pick that up or not, so not 100% sure. Ooh, this one's got a, oh yeah. This one's got a, I don't know if the camera will pick that up or not, but this one's got some, it's got a line around there. This one's got a gouge. This one's got some damage in it. So this one was not a happy piston, not a happy cylinder, not a happy hole. Something was going wrong in there. I have no idea if that can get picked up. You can actually see that. Trying to move it around because I can't see. I don't know if you guys can see that, but if I turn it over, I don't know. Can't really tell real good, but either way, that one was not happy. So this one gets the big old front mark on it. Work with these things enough, I believe. Yes, they're not uniform. They're different. So it'll be obvious. You'll know which one's which if you work with these things enough. I can identify that already. Those go there. Those go there. Now, what do we do here? Oh, different application. Time for a drink. Hey, there's a good drinking game. Every time I remove a part from the engine, we have a drink. Which means I might get smashed by the time this thing is done. I had a rag where to put it. Oh yeah, it's sitting right here. I got more. Got a whole roll of paper towels. So, all right. So let's grab a little pick, a little light. And these are a much different application. Believe it or not, in a racing engine, could actually change the piston between rounds. They don't use clips. We don't use clips in those. Those are put together a little bit differently. Get that up. All right. This is going to be an unhappy piece. And got it. Didn't fly around the shop. Yay. You gotta like that. And with that, get the piston out, put that back in. Because we don't want stray parts. There's nothing worse in the world when you are building an engine and you find a part sitting on the floor and you go, okay, I know what that is. That's a piston ring clip. Where the hell did it come from? It come out of the motor I'm working on. And then you end up having to take a motor apart to find out, no, that's not where it came from. Hence the reason I am such a stickler for putting things where they belong. These will never get reused. This is now done. So this will go into the world famous debris pile. I have boxes of pretty cool stuff all wrecked. I actually want to make a table. Give me a real interesting table. So when I was racing, I blew a motor up. I can't count how many times. Well, enough. I have broken pistons, bent push rods, bent valves, cracked heads, all that kind of stuff. I want to take all that stuff, lay it out in kind of a neat fashion, create a mold around it, and fill it with clear resin so that I make a round bar table and be all my blown up racing parts inside the table as a kind of cool thing. I think that'd be pretty neat. I gotta learn how to do it. All right, so since we got this out, we'll take a look. I'll show you. So there's a coating on the piston. Like I said, it didn't actually touch. As you can see, it can't touch because it's not even perfectly round. This part is your thrust surfaces where it goes, where the piston reaches top, it will do, and bottom, it does actually do a slight rock, which is why you do get the kiss marks, but they generally run pretty clean. You can tell by the temperature. This thing did get hot. It's got some discoloring on the bottom of the piston. That's heat damage, heat indication there. So anyhow, that's front. That goes with that one. It doesn't want to go back in. That happens. That is front. Yes, that is front. This is front. This is front. So why does that not go in? Not like it matters. Like I said, never going to get used again. So there you go. Do me a favor, leave a like and a comment on the actual video once it's out, not just now during the live, if you want, and I will send you a free piston if you want, for whatever reason. I have no idea. Some people collect that stuff. I think it's cool. All right. It actually feels all right. Bottom end feels okay, even though that bearing locked. The bottom end actually does run pretty smooth and feel good. So when it was sticking before, that was clearly here in the pistons. There we go. Caught the ring. Oh, that one doesn't want to come out. It's easy. That one's not happy. That one's not happy at all. That, it's good on the rod. It's not good on the piston. That is not, oh yeah. I can actually see in there. I don't know if the camera will pick that up. There's some scoring. This piston most definitely got hot. That scoring is from heat. And as we can see, the bottom of this piston, the discoloring, this one definitely got hot. That wrist pin was not happy in that bore. That's not a happy home. It did not like life where it was. So needless to say, this motor was not left alone for this world. Good damn thing I took it apart when I did, because this thing, I am quite confident would not have survived this year. And then I'd have been sitting, Lord knows where. See what I mean about dropping parts? That's why we have to pick them up. So, always want to do that. Yeah, this thing got hot. This one doesn't like it. Even the clip doesn't want to go back in. This is just not happy at all. In any way, shape, or form. Nothing in this thing was in great shape. So, good to know. 120,000 kilometers on a stock motor is probably about your limitation. You definitely want to make sure you've gotten in there and made sure things were taken care of at that point. So this kind of heat in here tells me I might have issues running those liquid cooled heads without liquid running through them. They're actually liquid and air cooled. But I got a feeling this thing's not going to go back together. I don't think this one's going in. The heat straightens these things out, makes them go bad, these clips. I've encountered this before. Not happy. When the motor's not happy, I'm not happy. I like a happy motor. I like happy parts that fit together because I like being together. Kind of like I like my girls. Fitting together because they like being together. Not because they want to be, have to be, feel tortured, blah, blah, blah. I have no idea why I went off on that tangent, but I went that direction. Let's put that down in there. See if we can't work this guy in. Great. I got a lost part. That's not a happy day. I know where it went. I see it. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave that one with it for now. Don't really need to mess with it at the moment. It's kind of unnecessary. But roll that all the way through. Rods don't have any tight spots. Oh, yeah. See, that should fall immediately. That shouldn't be able to stand up. So it's just on the verge of getting tight. See, when it's down here, it'll fall immediately. So in that position, go there. See, we can see, I don't know if you can see that. That rod is standing up, not falling over. There's actually a slight amount of pressure there. That should just fall over and tap against the case, and it doesn't. So even though this crank is within runout of 3 thou, it's actually not good. This thing, whole thing needs to be, see, there we go. That rod should not be staying like that. That should be completely loose on the bearing and moving like this, completely free. It should be slapping against the side, free, and it isn't. It stays attached to the other one. So that means either way, this crank is no good. These whole engine cases actually need to be torn apart. We'll maybe do that another time. Wish I would have found this problem earlier in the winter. We could have done all this. I would have actually done that as a series on here. Completely torn this motor apart, gone through it, put it back together. As it is, it's going to happen. Just don't know when, don't know how, don't know what. Anyway, so there we go. At this point, there's nothing in here that I want, need, or can use at this point in time. Anything I need out of this, if I'm going to send the cylinders away to have them bored to larger size, because this is a 96 inch. There's enough cylinder wall thickness here on these guys. They can actually board out, put larger pistons in, and can actually convert this 96 to a 107. The heads will need to be cleaned up. We'll actually send them off to Dan and have them ported, polished. I'll have, so what he'll do as well, he'll actually take some off of the head, which will slightly shrink the combustion chamber. He'll put different size valves in. He'll actually put slightly larger valves in, and he'll clean up the ports and reshape them slightly to create more flow, more velocity, for more workability. So it works better in the range of that, because stock, they're a rough surface, right? So there'll be a machine surface smooth like this on the inside when he's done all nicely cleaned up, which will facilitate a better airflow. Of course, for a factory stock production, none of that stuff is done because the time involved and the efficiencies gained. The time involved in doing stuff for everybody's is just not worthwhile, so they never do it. That's the reason why. So that's the difference with something stock versus something performance. So with that, these are done. Don't need these at the moment. I don't think where to put them for now. Running out of space. There's never as much room when you take these things apart as there is when you put them together. All the pieces fit together and it doesn't take as much space. So, on that, I'm going to need a hammer for what we're doing. So, definitely not going to need that hammer for what we're doing. So I'm going to set these cases over to the other side. I'm going to move the camera a little bit. Oh, look at that, I got a couple people watching. Move the camera a little bit here. I'm going to bring the new motor over, set it on. We'll bolt a couple pieces on that need to be transferred from the other one to this one and get it ready to put in the bike. Okay. All right. Now, because this one's together, it's not quite as easy to just hoof up here and lift and put on because it's got much more stuff on it. It's much heavier. So I need a second. I'm gonna grab some grunt, get ready, get a good grip on. And let's pick this bad boy up. And get him up here. Okay, so this is the new / used motor with like 20,000 miles on it, a little under 20,000 miles on it. And this is the one, I'm not sure if the camera will get in here or not and see. But if we get it just right, I don't know. There's a port there. And if I turn the motor a little bit over here, there's a port here. And there's the same thing in this head. That's cooling ports where the coolant goes in. It's not a big cooling system in these things because they are still finned. They are still air cooled. It's just some cooling assistance. And literally all the coolant does, it goes in, goes around. It's a small bore. It's, remember it, it's 7 millimeters. So like not even 3/8 of an inch. Oh, 3/8 of an inch. So my calculations are that really only pulls maybe 10 degrees of heat out. It's not a whole lot. So, and talking with some guys who have actually played around with and hot rodded and ground out and ported these heads, which I haven't. That's the first set I've actually had off of a twin cam engine. Like I said, I've had, well, I got raw castings and made the heads in my drag bike. So I'm quite familiar with those. But they said they've never ever ground through into the coolant port. So, and they take out not quite 1/4 inch material. So I don't think these are apt to crack. Either way, after taking those off, realizing I'm not reusing those heads, I was thinking of actually taking those used heads off the other motor and putting them on here, but seeing the condition of them, there's no way I'm going to do that. They're just too, not in good enough condition where I'd be happy or satisfied, comfortable putting them on. So they're not going to go on, which means I'm literally taking a chance. I've done a bunch of research and haven't found anybody who said that they've even tried taking the dual twin cooled, which is what they call these heads that have a liquid cooling port in them. And I mean, God, these things only hold 2 liters of coolant. They don't hold a whole lot. It's not going to do a lot of cooling. But I haven't found anybody who's actually taken a twin cooled system like this and not run the coolant to find out if they'll actually work without cracking. So I might very well be the guinea pig here for all I know. I'm sure somebody else in the world has done it, but if they have, they've never put it on the internet. Probably don't want the flame job of all the internet warriors calling them an idiot for doing something or trying something. Well, sometimes you're in a position you have to do what you have to do. I'm in that position, so I got to do what I got to do. The only reason I was going to put the hot rod racing heads on is because I got those in a negotiated deal. They literally were going to cost me nothing to put on. To send the heads and cylinders and stuff away, that's not going to happen right away because that's going to cost me probably about $3,000 US, something like that, to have that stuff sent away and done. And I don't have the tooling anymore to do boring and that sort of stuff. I actually know a guy that does. Might have to give him a call. I don't have the flow bench anymore to port the heads properly. I could port them. I'd never be able to know what the numbers are. I'd never know what kind of job I did. I don't have the valve tooling anymore that I used to have to put in new valves and new valve seats and to oversize them and do all of that. So I'd be stuck with stock sizes, which means I'd never get the full capabilities of what I was doing out of it. So that part of it is, where's my sheet? It's a little bit old pricing. What did they quote me on that? Actually, that's not bad. Heads themselves is $758 with the valve springs. It's another $200. So $1,000 US. What is that? Well, that's push rods. I have cam plate and oil pump, blah, 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 chain tensioners. That sort of stuff I might not need. But yeah, it's actually not that bad. If I just read. Oh, okay. Boring the cylinder. So to just do the heads is $1,000. To pistons and cylinder bore is another $650. And then I am $1,000, $1,500. So roughly $2,000 for the cam. That's push rods, oil pump plate, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I'm looking at about probably $3,000 for all that stuff. Which, because I'm a pretty good negotiator and wheeler dealer, and I knew some guys that had some parts and did some stuff with some other stuff that I had, I actually only paid $1,500 for this motor. So for $1,500, I'm going to chance it. And I'm going to be on the lookout for a set of heads. So if you happen to have, or you know somebody who has a set of 103-inch twin cam heads that are not liquid cooled, please do me a favor. Leave a comment, get a hold of me, something like that. You want to make a deal on them? I'm going to look around on eBay. I'm sure I'll find a set. They usually sell for about stock ones, I don't know, $300-400. But I'm not going to wait until I find a set. I'm just going to go ride this thing as it is, look for a set and do it. Or like I said, have those ones done. But I transferred over the throttle body for the fuel injection. So I've got to put new cylinders or new gaskets and stuff in here. This is just sitting in here loose for now. So I got to take this out, put that. What am I doing here? Yeah, that gasket's screwed. That needs to be changed. That gasket's new. What is that? That's the rear one. Well, that doesn't make a ton of sense. Am I going to have to look at this thing? Why are both the exhaust valves closed? They told me this thing was running. I might have to pull the covers, take a look inside. That just does not seem right to me for some reason. I've got more than one way to do this. Just got to get the door, see if my dog is here. She took off a while ago. Abby! Not sure where she is. All right. So this is front, that's rear. Let's do that, do that. Well, that plug looks good. This one doesn't. What is going on? No light. Port, no light. All right. What the hell is going on in here? That sucker's tight. That sucker's tight. Oh. Oh. All right. Well, turns fairly decent until you get to the bell springs, which makes sense. All right. So set this in a position so that it doesn't fall over, because we don't need that to happen, because this one's good. We don't need to make it bad before we start. So let's do that. What do I need? I need this guy right here. No, wrong one. I need this guy right here. And pop throttle body and intake. And we'll get this guy done. All right. I'm actually looking fairly clean in there. So we'll go grab. So You might want to turn your volume down because this is going to get noisy here. Let me give this thing a good blow out here. All right. Okay. Cleaned out. All right. What we have here, if you're old enough, you've gone to the doctor and had a colonoscopy, you kind of know what this is. If you don't, well, this is kind of the mechanics version of what they do with that. It is a very small camera shining back at you on the camera, the bike, blah, blah, blah. So we're just going to take a look. See if we see any obvious stuff. See our valves, valve guides there. Okay. This is how we look inside the motor at the pistons, at the cylinder walls, without taking it apart like we did with the other motor. Go down through the spark plug hole. And we're at the piston. It's right up at the top. Not a lot of carbon on that one. Down through the spark plug hole. And once again, right at the piston, right at the top. So with that, we can't inspect the valves. So this is the correct way to turn it. You're going to spin it over. Oh, don't need to do that. All right, that feels like it's hitting the bottom. So now, turn the motor over, go down through our spark plug hole. We on? Yeah, our light's on. And we're down at the piston at the bottom. We can see our cylinder wall. I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not, but what I'll do is straighten this guy out, give him a little bit of a bend. So I can put him in through the hole. And that looks fairly good. There's the edge of our piston. See that shiny line, just like that other one? So this one's doing the same thing. The carbon is building up on the head instead of on the piston. So we go around. Now we're at the other side of the piston, and that ring is disappearing. So let's take, I have no idea if you can see that or not. I can on here. I want to have a look. Oh, that's nice. That's a nice crosshatch pattern on that cylinder wall. Get even more of an angle on that. See if I can radius that through. Yeah. All right. Now, we'll do that one. And where is it? All right. So now with that, we've changed it to that. We now have, see how the camera is pointed directly at the screen, but it's not. It's shining out the side at the, there's actually two cameras on this thing and light. So now we're going to make this nice and straight, and we're going to inspect the cylinder walls with the side camera. We'll go down. So as we can see, we're not seeing the spark plug hole because we're coming into it. We'll actually see the threads. That's what those are. Those are the threads. Go down in. You can see our valve. The valve is actually nice and clean. Let's go around to the other side. Here's our other valve. A little bit of carbon on it there, but still clean for this. And we can see our cylinder wall, our cross hatching. We got a glare from the light. It's actually a pretty nice, I'm gonna just get to a more comfortable position. It's a pretty nice pattern. What have we got there? What is that? What is that? Oh, it's an oil stain. See, we can't see any direct vertical scoring, so that means there's no scoring on the cylinder wall. We've got some oil drippage there, which is normal, should be. So I'll do the same thing in this one. Take a look at our head, our top end. Give this a bit of a kick. And look at our valve. Oh, that head is nice and clean. Holy crap, look how clean that head is. I don't know if you can see that or not like I can on here. Let me try and get a good angle. I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not, but that's the valve. You can see the ring of the valve there. And the cylinder head. It's very nice and clean. And that's our seam where the head meets the cylinder. So we can do a good inspection of this tool. This thing is a lifesaver. And there's our exhaust valve. Oh, we're very close to it. Can't get a good view on it. Very clean because it still has the D and the casting right on it. So there's not a whole lot of buildup inside of this one. You can see that. And our cylinder wall, we're upside down. So what we're looking at the bottom of the screen is actually the top, and we're on the piston. Very nice. Very nice cylinder wall cross hatching pattern. Rotate it around. Look at the other side. Oh yeah. And once again, we've got our mark on our piston. Like I said, we're upside down because we're using the side camera. So if we do that, we get it changed. There we go. Changed. So now we go back down. Look at that. We need to read the number on our pistons. This thing's very clean inside. This motor is in very good shape. There's hardly any buildup on this piston. Look at that. We can read the stamping in the head. Isn't that cool? I like that. And get a little bit of an angle on it there. Go down. Where's our piston? Good view. Yeah, not coming into focus real good. But this one's nice and clean as well. So with that, we know this one's good. That in turn deserves a drink. So with that, we throw the throttle body on, and that makes this motor ready to install. Let's turn this guy back around where it's supposed to be. And pull a couple of bolts out here. I should probably grab a Scotch-Brite pads, clean that all up. Those gaskets are no good. They'll get thrown away. Grab a new set. And with that, gaskets are right here. So there's our new gaskets. Don't really have room to get the grinder in here, so we'll just use the pads. Clean that up nicely. Actually, I think I got a flat one. I got a flat one. Where in the hell? All right, give me a second. I heard the dog barking up there. Get in here. Come on. Come on. She's hanging out outside. She knows Dad's working on stuff. Sometimes I get mad and she doesn't like it when I do that. So she keeps her distance. Hey, come here. I see you. Come here. This nice little stuff up so we get a good seal. Because nothing will wreck your day more quicker than an intake seal. Because this is beyond all your sensors. There's no way for ECMs, calculations, or anything to know this will ruin your engine in a heartbeat without you even being aware. There is a way to test for it. A good trick for this one is when your vehicle's idling, take like a propane torch. Like for example, this one, you don't light it, but you turn it on so you have gas flow and you put it around your intake manifold. And if the engine changes the way it runs, that means there's an intake leak and it's actually sucking propane into the engine and you're getting a different burn pattern. And that's why it'll change. If you do this around and you get no change with gas flowing, that means your intake is sealed. So there's a little diagnostic trick. The old-fashioned way of figuring out if things are working the way they're supposed to or not. If you've got a good seal or not. All right. So we've got the Loctite. Let's grab the manual, find out what our torque spec is supposed to be, because we do things right. So engine top end, intakes, valves. So you want to know how to do all this. It's all in here. Literally, follow this step by step. You can take motor part, put it back together. As long as you can read and understand what it's telling you to do, none of this stuff is hard to figure out. All comes in the manual. Exhaust, and it's not in there. All right, so fuel system. So section 10, air fuel emissions control, fuel injected model. This is a fuel injected model. Section 10. How to move the gas tank, we already know because we've done that. Gas tank is off, been off for a while. We played this game, blah, blah, blah. Pass that, pass that. Da, 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 da. All right. Induction module, 2008, 2009. That's this one. Fuel pump. Fuel pump location, all that sort of stuff. Nope. Right here. Fuel injection and sensors. Go through heat management system, fuel pump supply, injectors, induction module, oil cans, removal. Already been removed, so we don't need to worry about that. We're all the way through removal, installation. All right. That's the grips. Here's our module. Induction module. Module. Mount installation. Okay. Install a new seal on each flange. Line the flange head bolts. Yeah. All this sort of stuff. I know all that. Install them. Finger tighten bolts. Let's tighten two upper flange bolts to 96 to 144 inch-pounds. Oh, that's the wrong one. I believe this is the same because it's the same seals and stuff. I believe it's the same as the Evolution. Fuel system torque specs. Yeah, 96 144. Yeah. 96 to 144. So that's easy enough. I have the torque wrench over here somewhere. I do. Because the part I did off camera I didn't show you guys. I actually did pull the oil pan off the motor, which Harley's running dry sump. The oil is actually not in the crankcase like it is on a car, most other motors. It's actually in an external tank, which is out in the bottom of the transmission. So I didn't film that. I just did that. It only takes an hour to do something like that. I removed the oil pump, cleaned everything out, made sure there's no debris in it, cleaned it all up, new gasket, put it back on. Pretty minor procedure. So that's done. So I know that all that side is all good on this thing. So that's why I had the torque wrench out for doing this, doing that job. And so we're going to use it for this. Gotta get into the brake light where I can see and read. I can't read this thing. All right, there we go. Torque is set. That's all cleaned up. That's all cleaned up. So we'll take our flange, put them on, our new gaskets, that in place, flange in place, our gasket, all that's ready to go. Put our bolts, little dab of Loctite. We won't need that much, so we'll take that and spread it around. You don't actually need a lot of this stuff. It's literally just taking up the gap in the threads. So that's more than enough for what we're doing in here. Actually, for any application, that's tons. Let me tell you, you can always tell people that use too much Loctite when you're taking their stuff apart, because it will come out of other places. It'll spread around to the heads of the bolts, and crap will be Loctited in where it's not supposed to be. And with that, we bring this in. See it? Let's go this way. We'll rotate our flanges. That one's in place. Rotate that one in place. There we go. Those are good. And they say to torque this, and they put it in the most asshole of a location to try and get a damn torque wrench in here. I don't know if I'm even going to be able to. I might have to guesstimate the torque on this one. It's what I'm kind of thinking. It's going to wind up happening. So we run these down so they're finger tight. It kind of holds it in place. Do the same on this guy. We back them out just a tiny little bit because we actually do want this to be loose. Now you're thinking, why? Because it actually has to align with something else. So we've got to take all that, make sure this is in the right position. That tells that inside that it's in the right position. Then we lock that down. But we can't lock that down because if this is in the wrong place, stuff doesn't align. So one step at a time. All the fun and games. Fun stuff we play with. So to do that, we have to take our intake plate, our breather plate here. Pull these bolts out. We literally just put this on to do this and take it back off. Ain't like fun. Motorcycles are so much fun. Motorcycle manufacturers are a pain in the ass. But it's our hobby. We do it. We have fun. We like it. So take that. I guess I got to get the screws for that. They are 1, 2, 3. They are the easy goody guys right here. All right. I know I took this off of here. Why is this like this? That goes there, that goes there. Those are threaded. Those are bosses. Huh. How does that work? This is what happens. You take stuff apart a long time ago and then come back and have to play with it. Those two, that one, that one. This is old parts. This is why you keep everything together. So we have 3. What the heck? He says, what the heck? I don't like being confused. Why is that? Okay, well, I think I might have just figured it out without having to go back and replay the video, which is one of the advantages of doing this live and not editing and not cutting stuff out with you guys is I have a record. So worst case scenario, I get really stumped. I can always go back and watch, learn something. That's exactly what these do. I could also probably go look at the manual. However, this is an upgraded part, so this one won't be in the manual. That is one of the bummers. So if you ever modify stuff, use aftermarket performance, blah, 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 and you have your owner's manual or service manual for your vehicle, your motorcycle, whatever the case may be, do yourself and everybody else you end up selling the machine to down the road a favor and take the instructions that come with your parts and put them in the appropriate place in your manual. Because anything I've done for upgrades and parts since I've got this thing, I actually have all those instructions and manuals in the manual, in the appropriate place. There's no screwing around. There's no figuring it out. All the instructions and all the paperwork is right there where it should be. And that's the way it should be done. A lot of people don't. They just take that stuff and, oh, now that I've got this on, I don't ever need it again. They throw it away. Then a couple years later, they're doing something and they don't know how it went together. Yeah, I fixed stuff like that before. On the other ones, I don't need a manual. I can just do those off the top of my head. I've done so many of them, it's not even funny. Like I said, this particular model is new to me, so I do it by the manual. Yes, men can follow the instructions. All right, so now, like I said, see how that's all now held into place. This is now square the way it needs to be. Now we can torque that inside down because this can't move. This whole throttle body now is deadlocked solid and mounted exactly where it's supposed to be. All this stuff is making its proper contact. It's not necessarily properly torqued. This doesn't need to be. Just holding it in place to do that. So now with that, I can run the actual torque on these. Wrong size. So we need might be one I don't have in here right now. I have it up somewhere else. I hate when I do that. Hate when I do that. That's why you keep a magnet handy. Drop a bolt through a tool, reach in and get it. Great. I can't actually tell. Cannot actually tell if that's the right size or not. I'm gonna have to pull that out. We got another one. I know we do. The other one's kicking around here somewhere. They all are. Come on, where did he go? That one does the trick. And can I get the torque wrench in here? Here's the question. And what I said, I don't know if I can. Yes, I can. There's that one. Always do them a couple times. Make sure it's in there good. Grab the next one. These are in such an awkward place. You got this penny in it right here in the way. Double check, triple check, quadruple check. Yes, I'm OCD. You want to build engines, it's a good way to be. That way you know you've done it right more than once. Give this guy a big old turnaround. Let's see. I can even get this one in here. I might not be able to. These inside ones might have to get done by hand. Oh, look at that. I'm in. That's the wrong size. Works on an angle, doesn't work straight. All right, so these ones get the guesstimated torque. Clamp that down. And they're solid. We'll go one more try. One more try. Now that it's in. Nope, wrong size. This is going to be a metric one, probably, that I don't maybe have very handy. Is it this one? I don't have my good set with the ball end here to use them in here, unfortunately. So I can't get a proper bite to do a proper torque job on these. Nope. So they get the guesstimate torque. It felt like it was about that tight. About that tight. All right. That's in. So with that, this stuff is just loose. I'm going to leave it as is. I have, this one's got a fitting on it that I don't need. Make sure we don't get debris down inside the spark plug holes. We don't need it. So I'm going to change out this bolt because this one doesn't need this. And I'll take one off the other motor because it doesn't have this. Doesn't have this goofy little stud for some reason. Rocker box. Where are we now? Rocker box cover bolts. Where did I put you? That's longer. That's longer. Where did you guys go? I put you in a separate bin. All right. Not that, not that. Not that. 1, 2, 3, 4. It should be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one was off of front head. So you come off of here. So it's one of these bolts. And that sucker's gonna have a torque spec. Clutch, don't know what that is. Clutch. Rockers. 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 Table A. Piston. Engine top. Rocker cover bolt, 15 to 18 foot-pounds. 15 to 18 foot-pounds. Okay. I've gone long tonight. Anybody even watching? Yeah, there's 4 of you left. Okay, cool. Go set this. Oh, doesn't go that low. All right. So that one doesn't get used. It doesn't go that low. So 15 times 12. Well, 12 is 144. 3. 36, that's 150, 180. 180 to 200 inch pounds. This thing goes to 180. A little higher. There we go. More than one way to skin a cat. And with that, I'm going to torque this down. And it is. All right, we're good. So that's it. This motor is ready for install. Well, because this big bike has a oil cooler, I've actually got to pull the oil filter off, change that adapter. That's going to make a mess. I don't know if I'm going to do it here or not. No, I won't, because the hoses and everything are all still attached. So I will do that in the frame, in the chassis, so that everything lines up and it sits in a nice natural position. So, all right. So with that, this engine is ready for install. Like I said, I'm coming back tomorrow. I've got a couple of meetings tomorrow with some people towards the end of the day. After those are done, I may sign on, start early, but you want to see the other end of this, how it goes, because it's close to riding season. I'm not waiting for a week till next Wednesday's show. I'm actually going to get this motor shoved in. So I'm going to come live tomorrow, same time, maybe a little earlier. Not sure. I'll see how the day goes. I'll do a posting. So if you do follow me, you're subscribed, like, blah, blah, blah. Turn the notifications on. It'll tell you that I will put it on. I may start earlier tomorrow. And tomorrow, I'm going to actually shove this big bad boy back inside the bike. So it won't be running tomorrow, but we'll get the motor put in, get everything, gaskets in, sealed. So I'm going to clean that up. You don't need to sit there and watch me do that. I'm going to use Scotch-Brite pads, clean all this up, make sure I've got no debris in my oil galleys here, make sure this is all nice and clean, and everything ready to go. And I'm going to put the motor in tomorrow, get it all mounted in, just like I did last Wednesday when I pulled it out. And so that'll be in. And I might have to go for a meeting on Friday. So it's possible. I've got my regular, if you remember my community, remember the 10% community. I host the call every month on the third Sunday, which is this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So what I might actually do, if all goes well, is I might come on Sunday evening before that. So sometime Sunday afternoon, something like that. This motor was sitting for a while. It's covered in dust in here. And I'll do the button up. I'll put the exhaust on. I'll get everything done from the point of the motor being installed, the actual finishing up. And I don't think the weather's supposed to be nice. I don't have my phone to look at it. I don't think the weather's actually supposed to be nice this weekend, but it's also supposed to rain. But I'm not overly anxious about riding this weekend. But maybe on Monday or Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. So I got a friend who's coming in, who's traveling in. He's flying in to come and visit for a couple of weeks. Doesn't know exactly when he's coming just yet. His schedule's still up in the air, but tentative plans are Tuesday. So if that's the case, I may button this thing up on Monday, all the last bit of stuff. And we'll actually, I'm going to do a live fire of this thing. So follow along, make sure you're liked and subscribed on my channel. And when everything is done and she's ready to install, which is getting close to being done and to doing, when everything's actually done and installed, like the motor, I'll have that in tomorrow. This motor will be in, bolted in tomorrow for sure. I might even start putting stuff back on the bike tomorrow, depending how things go, how smoothly that goes. Motor install can go either one of two ways. It could either be a pain in the ass or it can go smooth. You just never know. If it goes smooth, I plan to start bolting this sucker back in and putting stuff back on yet tomorrow. And if that's the case, I'll hopefully know tomorrow or whatever. Anyhow, follow me along, like I say, and we'll get this thing going. And I'll actually do the live start on this new motor right here live on the channel. And you can follow along with that. And we're going to do one of two things. Either it's a good used motor or it's going to blow up and I'm going to cry. One way or another, you're going to be able to watch it live. So it's either going to be yeehaws and celebrations, or it's going to be woe is me in a cry fest. I honestly don't know which it's going to be. Judging by the looks of the motor, I'm thinking everything's good. I haven't actually opened it up and done an inspection. I'm thinking because of the low mileage, it's not going to be an issue. So I haven't opened anything up. Talked to a few people and they all agreed the same thing. It's probably not worth the cost of gaskets to open the thing up and find out that everything's fine at that low of mileage. They rarely have any problems at that low of mileage anyhow. So, and as you can see, it's cleaning up really, really nice. Like the powder coating is really good and clean on it. I use some brake clean those numbers off the salvage yard, blah, blah, blah. Get this thing all cleaned up. Believe it or not, it's actually in better shape than my other motor. And we'll live fire the son of a bitch. get her running. And as soon as it's running, the next thing I'm going to do is mount the GoPro to the bike. GoPros, multiple. Go for a ride and record. I don't know if I can do a live from my phone. I'll have to check on that. If I can do a live from my phone, let's see how that goes. But I'm going to do a live test fire on this thing, on the channel, right here at the shop. If I can do a live from the phone, which I don't know, I have never tried it. I have no clue if it can be done. If I can, then we'll do a live test run. And we'll actually go for a ride on this sucker. And then we'll go do my after show and we'll chat afterwards and laugh and joke and have fun and maybe talk about what breaks if it happens to do that or whatever it does on the way. But it'll be fun and interesting regardless. Either way, as you can see, I don't know if you can see outside, there's no snow really left here, little tiny bits. There are some people who are riding already. I'm not yet. I wouldn't be yet, even if I was running. I am getting anxious. It's that time of the year to complete the heart transplant and get this sucker running and go and enjoy summer and do some recorded videos, some hiking and some stuff out in the mountains and those sorts of things. So if you got any topics you want me to cover, anything you want me to talk about, do me a favor and send messages and let me know, because for doing recorded stuff, I always like to have a content and just sort of babble as I ride along, because I've got the helmet and the microphone and the GoPros, and I can do all that, record while I go. The footage from last year wasn't very good, but I've got better mics and everything for this year. My last ride, I tried them out, tested them. They actually worked. They weren't making all the snapping, cracking, and popping sounds. So with any luck, we'll get some good recorded footage for this year while we're actually riding and do some hikes and do some camping videos and that sort of stuff. Sounds like a couple of the fans and guys that I know are thinking about coming out. I've got a couple guys from Ontario that are thinking of coming out, checking out the mountains in Alberta and stuff like that. So we could have some interesting guests in our recordeds. And if you ever want to come out here and do that, let me know when you're coming, because I spend most weekends in the mountains out here in Alberta, hiking around, riding a motorcycle, seeing the sights, doing the stuff, camping, all that kind of crap. You ever want to come have a drink, ride a bike, hike in the mountain, smoke a cigar, hang out, hit me up. I'm always down for that. Anyhow, that's been my show for this week. Going to call it a night with that and switch over to the, what do you call it, my after show for people in my community. And we'll go there, do the live chat afterwards, talk about the things we can't talk about on YouTube. Have that kind of fun. Trying to think of something else. Of course, as always, do me a favor, like and subscribe. Share this with somebody if you think they're going to get something out of it. Oh yeah, I forgot to get screws to mount the new stator, or to mount the stator to this thing. Got to do that yet too. That's not exactly a big deal, but I got to do it because you don't want to ever reuse those. That all looks good. That's good. So with that, I'm going to sign off, call it a night, and switch over, hang out with my buddies and my members of my community, and shoot the breeze. And like I said, join me tomorrow. We're going to shove this bad boy back in the frame and start buttoning her up. I already know it's going to fit. The physical dimensions of a 96-inch and a 103 are actually the same. The stroke is the same. The bore is different. That's where the extra displacement comes from. It's a larger bore motor. But it's the cases, the cylinders, the heads, the rockers. All of this stuff is exactly the same size. It's just larger cylinders, larger pistons that creates larger displacement. But physically, it's the same size of engine. So I know this is going to fit right in. Like I said, my only concern is cracking the heads, coming liquid cooled, blah, blah, blah. That's not going to happen right off the bat on first fire anyhow. That'll happen hot rodding along, being an idiot, riding like a moron, because I do that. And that's it. So with that, like I say, going to sign off. Damn, this thing is clean. It's going to clean up nice. I can't wait to get the pressure washer on this thing to clean it up. This thing is in very clean shape, very good shape. I got a heck of a deal on this motor. Hopefully all works well and we're good to go. So anyhow, with that, like I say, have a good one. I'm signing off. Going to head over to the Zoom with my buddies and chat with y'all later. Like I said, tomorrow, coming back tomorrow, we'll put this on. So talk to you later. Bye-bye.